The South African Social Security Agency has been receiving an increased number of complaints regarding illegal or unauthorized deductions that are being made against social grants for services such as airtime, electricity, and funeral policies. And this is due to many recipients not being aware of their consumer rights as well as responsibilities in managing their finances. We are joined to discuss the extent of the problem and the solutions that are being looked at by Mr. Kgomoco Diseko, who's Senior Manager of Media Relations of SASSA, the South African Social Security Agency. Diseko, pleasure to have you with us, sir.
Modise,
much appreciated. Now, firstly, let me establish, how many beneficiaries do you have on the SASSA system?
At the moment, we have close to 17 million beneficiaries who are enrolled on 7 types of grants.
And the ones that are, for lack of a word, under attack by predators, because I'll call them that, and we'll explain in a moment what makes them predators, would be which ones? Would it be the pensions or is it across the board?
It's really across the board. It's across the board. Remember that 2/3 of our grants go to child support.
Yeah.
And the rest of them go to the other 6 categories. But yeah, all of them are targeted.
Okay. Now, I've heard of stories of people signing up the beneficiaries or recipients of grants, giving them loans and all sorts of things, and that they go to the pay points month end to do so. Is that practice still continuing?
The practice is still continuing, notwithstanding the fact that according to our rules, anybody who's conducting business activity around our pay points has got to be away from a pay point within a particular distance. Yes.
But people still target the beneficiaries, right?
Yes.
So what sort of things do they sell to them? I know of loans being one such thing, but probably also funeral policies. Tell me more. What are the typical products sold?
Well, our pay points are a hive of activity at the beginning of the month. Business people sell anything from tribe to blankets to financial services.
So they're turned into marketplaces, so to speak.
It has turned to a marketplace, indeed. It has turned to a marketplace because, you know, this is a meeting point, particularly for older people, and that's where they do part of their groceries. So, and then we'll have these people who, you know, jump on the bandwagon and become opportunistic and sell our beneficiaries these financial services without, you know, giving proper regard to the rules of the game and also not disclosing their terms and conditions.
With so much technology around, and I know that there are cards that have been distributed to the recipients, why do people have to come to the pay points for their payments or for their grants?
The majority of people who go to pay points are older people because most of the time they are indoors or, you know, at their home, and it's time then for them to meet their friends and so on and socialize. It is an opportunity for socializing for them. But we have put in place a technology. As you explained, we've got different channels of distributing these grants. For instance, our SASSA card is a debit card like the one you use, you know, where your salary goes into. So we use the same technology. People can go to a shop and swipe for goods. People can go to an ATM, although they'll be charged finance charges. People can also use that debit card to do anything that you can do with your own debit card.
All right. Now, how do they end up signing up for some of the products and services that we mentioned earlier on? Are you, as SASSA, able to do anything about it to make sure that at least they retain a portion of the money for their more important needs?
South Africa is a very interesting country, and we've got a constitutional democracy. So we are limited in terms of the extent to which we can, you know, confine people to doing X, Y, Z with their money. But we are running a continuous beneficiary education campaign to alert people to the dangers of doing business with certain people, and also how to, you know, look after their cars and, you know, what the do's and don'ts of the system are. So we do a lot of that education as SASSA.
So what would be the typical areas that you're looking at now that are of concern to yourselves?
What is of concern to ourselves at the moment is the issue of funeral policies. At the end of, maybe let me put it like this, you are allowed to arrange for a deduction for a funeral policy, which cannot be over 10% of the value of the grant. Now, we've noticed a lot of abuse from the side of financial services providers in terms of this one, to the extent that you'll find that a child grant, which is just over 300 rand for one child, you find these financial services providers enticing people to can register about 4 members of the family.
On the same card.
On the same card. And what this does now, it reduces drastically the value of the child grant. So the Minister of Social Development, Ms. Batabile Dlamini, has come up with a pretty, good idea. She has changed the law as of May 6th this year. And in terms of that law, no more child grants will be able to be deducted from a
funeral policy covers will not be deducted from
child grants.
Yes,
We've got 3 types of child grants.
Yes.
No funeral policy from the beginning of December. So we're asking all those people who are affected to go and consult with their financial services providers and make alternative arrangements as to how the funeral policies will be paid on a month-to-month basis. But beyond that, we are requesting everybody who has got a funeral policy, whether in whatever grant, because some of these funeral policies come off without the authorization of the beneficiary himself or herself. So we are doing what we call a cleanup campaign.
Okay, we must re-emphasize that point because it's going to be implemented, right?
Yes, indeed.
Law was passed 6th of May this year. As of the beginning of December this year, which is about 3 months away, whatever deductions, as long as they are funeral policy type, are going to be stopped from the debit card, from the SASSA card. Is that correct?
The condition is if somebody can avail themselves at a SASSA office and to get the details, because this principle affects different grants differently. As I was saying, no child grants at all. It's a no-no with child grants. That's from December. But with other grants, you may still come between now and the end of November to come and make arrangements with SASSA so that we know you, we are sure that your grant is not being deducted without your authorization. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, but if it's child support grant, it terminates. It's not going to work anymore beyond that.
Yes.
I'm asking that question the way I am because, it could be that people must then go and claim back whatever premiums they've been paying, isn't it? Because if they terminate, then the money is lost. And obviously the companies concerned that provide these funeral policies would say, well, we won't honor your cover, even though you've paid premiums.
Yes, it really pains us because I think it's not good business practice. If I am receiving a child grant and I register for that child grant at maybe 6 months when the child is 6 months old, what are the chances of that child dying between age 1 and when the child support grant stops? Because child support grants stop at 18. What are the chances of that child dying? And what happens beyond 18 years? Because beyond 18 years, the family will not be able to afford paying that premium.
Yeah, sure.
So it's really money going down the drain.
But actually, yes, the question is then, if you've been paying premiums, right, for the past 4 years, and then it's now terminating, are you entitled to recover any money? Will the department assist you to recover any premiums, or there's not much you can do?
Currently, there is no plan. There is no plan around that. That is why we are saying people must come. Anybody who has got a funeral policy going off their grant must avail themselves. They must go to a SASSA office and get clarity about what is going to happen in the future.
All right, let's go back to the education and awareness campaigns that you've been running. I mean, what are you educating the beneficiaries about?
The other difficulty that we are having is these touts who represent, some financial services providers who go around the villages and townships telling people that the SASSA card is no longer going to be valid, perhaps from next month or any other, succeeding month. So what people need to do is to take up an alternative card. You see, we want to warn people that there is no arrangement like that. The SASSA card is still valid. There is no need for panic. Because once you start taking up an alternative card, you are going to be in trouble because it will allow the financial services provider to deduct as they wish from your card. Because at the moment, we are still in control as SASSA because people are using the SASSA card. Now imagine if people are using an alternative card. I'll make an example of, a person who is employed. The person who is employed receives their money and that money goes into one of the top 4 banks, for instance, you know. And once anything happens in that account, you must go to your bank. You don't go to your employer and say, no, employer, there's been this deduction. So there's that distinction that we've got to make. So it's safer if people's money are paid into their account, the SASSA card, and not an alternative card, because there are dangers around that.
Alternative cards will be coming from who?
There are different financial services providers who provide this. These cards, most of them, they come with a preloaded loan. Sometimes without the knowledge of the beneficiary himself or herself. Sometimes they use it as a ploy to entice you into taking up this thing because...
But obviously SASSA pays into its own card, isn't it?
We pay directly into the SASSA card.
Does not pay into the new card?
Yes.
So, you know, how is money transferred from the SASSA card to the new card then?
When we started the re-enrollment or the re-registration campaign in 2012, when we offered people these new SASSA cards, we opened up a lot of channels. And one of the channels is that some people do not prefer to use the SASSA card because they've got their own private bank accounts. So now, those people can make an arrangement with SASSA to say that, please, when the card money goes into the SASSA card, please make an arrangement that it goes automatically into my account. Yes. So that situation does exist.
Oh, I see. So the confusion might be as a result of that. Okay. Well, I think in summary, then, when we conclude, is that the funeral policies will no longer be deducted from child support grants. From the 1st of December.
Yes.
And then anybody who's a recipient or beneficiary of grants must approach SASSA to make alternative arrangements if you still want to keep your funeral policies going.
If you have a funeral policy between now and end of November, please avail yourself, come to the SASSA office to get clarity.
And then number 3 is that do not switch your SASSA card for a new card if somebody approaches you and says SASSA card is obsolete, is old, you need to take a new one. Don't do that. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes. We are saying people must not do that because, these people do these things under the guise that they are, they are sent by SASSA. SASSA has never sent out that word to people. So people must be very careful in terms of that.
Kgomoco Diseko, appreciated, sir.
You're welcome, Modise. Thank you.
Please look after the money, the grants that you receive. It's not a lot of money, and you don't need to share it with anyone, but rather look after your children with what you receive from SASSA.